Hi everyone, welcome to our monthly Hero Make Along. Just adjusting my camera here. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Sunday. Today we are going to create a card that has a lot of Copic coloring, but one way we're going to kind of save some time is starting with colored cardstock. It adds a lot of depth. Oops, that's not what I want to do. There we go. And I think it's just a cool way to get a little bit of a different look. I think it makes Copic coloring a little easier. I wouldn't say I'm the best Copic colorer, but I think by starting with colored cardstock is kind of like a little cheat. So this is the card we're making today. I don't know why my camera seems so, that looks a little bit better. And I'm sweating, it's hot here. This is the card we're making. This features the July kit. And you can see it's this really cool kind of picnic scene with a bunch of kind of really realistic looking Copic colored die cuts from the premium July kit. So I'm going to go ahead and move over to my other camera so we can get started on today's card. So let me change my view here. And we will get started. Okay. And let's see. Okay, that should be good. Okay, I can kind of hear me. So I think you're getting my audio. If you're there, if you can give me a thumbs up and let me know you can hear me. That's always helpful before I get started. I've got the kit out here, the July kit. It comes with this awesome like cling stamp that has a linen look to it. It's really great. Of course, there is the gorgeous clear. Okay, good. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for letting me know. The gorgeous clear stamp set. I love this set. I love that silhouetted look of the flowers. I think there's so many techniques you can do with that. We're going to just use this for a sentiment for today's card. And you have included in the kit were some really pretty dandelion dies, these awesome scene building dies that create kind of this beautiful picnic scene. I made a card with pretty much every product in this kit. And then here's what we're using today, these awesome picnic fancy dies. They're all kind of like a standalone dies. I'm going to take these off so I don't have to worry about losing them. And tuck them into my envelope and get them out of the way because things get haywire pretty quick. And we're going to just start die cutting away here. We have a lot of little die cuts that we're going to do. Another thing that's great about today's project is this uses your scraps. If you're like me and you save all your colored cardstock scraps, this is a great way to kind of incorporate them into your designs. Other than stripes. I love stripes, but that's sometimes the only thing we get, the only ideas we get for our colored cardstock scraps. And this is another really great way to use them. All right, so I have Hero Art's little compact cutter. This is so great for today's project because you don't need a big die cutting machine because all of our dies are nice and small, and it'll just make us have a lot more space on our craft table while we work. I can move this out of the way easily when I do my Copic coloring, so perfect for today. Let's just go big and start with our basket. So I'm going to grab that basket here, maybe, and I'm going to flip it this way. Here we go. And I'll run it through the compact cutter. Look at how beautiful that cut out. Absolutely perfect. Pop that back and we're gonna die cut them and then color them. Let's just keep it simple like that, one at a time, so we don't get lost because there's a lot. I'll keep the card here. We'll kind of keep it on screen so you can see where we're going. So I'm gonna start with, I have my little notes here to keep track of what I did. For the basket, we're gonna use 3 Copic markers, so not crazy. E30, E31, and E43. That's going to be our light, medium, dark. And I have Copic Sketch and Copic Chow markers, so I got a little combination of both. We're going to start with our light, and we're just going to kind of lay down where we're going to put the shadows with the light. I just refilled this, so hopefully it's nice and juicy. Right along the top there. We'll go along the sides. And the bottom. And then we're going to go along the little, the weaving part, I guess, of the basket. I'm going to try to do this fast because I really don't think this is, I feel like this is really easy Copic coloring because we're starting again with that colored cardstock as a base. Oh, and I forgot to mention this is sand. This is like Hero Art's craft cardstock. It is my favorite craft because it has a more subtle tone. It's not quite so brown. It's softer in shade, and I just find it easier to work with. I love sand. I use it a ton. It even has like a little bit of texture to it, not like on the surface, but in the fibers. Probably not going to pick up, but you can kind of see there's little fibers in it. It's just a beautiful cardstock. I go along here, the sides of these handles. This is our biggest thing we're coloring, I would say. All right, and now we're going to move on to our medium shade, which is E31. And we'll go basically back over everything we just did with the light, the E30. Just not quite as much, not going quite as far out. Excuse me. I swear every time I start these lives, my nose starts running. I realize that I'm hot. Didn't really quite notice that before. I think it's the lights though. That one I can blame on the lights. Okay, trying to go through this. And this is one of those cards that you could always simplify down. You don't have to have all of these die cut elements. You could have fewer if you'd like. I do think they're fun. There's something irresistible about these tiny little foods. I think it's, I don't know, I love miniatures. I feel like it's kind of tapping into that for me. There we go. And now we're on to our darkest shade, which is E43. This I'm going to use a little sparingly. Just put it in the darkest areas that I want it. Probably down here at the bottom of the basket and on the sides. And we'll do the weaving too. And I think after that, we are done. Oops. This just adds another layer of texture beyond just the, there we go. Camera's making it really extreme. I'm telling you, in real life, it's softer. How does this look? Looks kind of about the same. You can always soften it up back with the lightest and go back over. I think it's just, it takes a little while for that Copic ink to kind of dry. So at first it looks kind of harsh, and then it'll soften a little bit. Even the lightest shade looks a little dark at first. All right, I'm calling it dunsies. So that one is done. There's our little basket. So cute. Love how that coloring makes all those details pop. Let's move on to the next thing. Let's go for the French loaf. So for that, we're going to use antique linen or antique ivory, which is a very light cream cardstock. Gotta make sure I save some room for my pie. I'm gonna go ahead and die cut my pie at the same time, since they're both out of that antique ivory. All right, look at our cute little pie, isn't it adorable? And our French loaf. We'll start with the French loaf. And for that, surprisingly, I only used 4 colors. I used Y21, YR23, E30 again. I'll be using E30 a lot because I have a refill for that. That's how you use your colors. Use the colors you actually have Copic refills for. All right, and I'm gonna grab the original here. So they're organized kind of as pairs. Y21 and YR23 is going to be the main dark color of the bread. And then the lighter 2 shades are going to be those openings in the bread, kind of where the bread is cut. Hanging out and loafing with you, I love it. Oh, and I'm going to grab some cardstock and put it underneath at this point. I'm a little bit worried about getting Copic marker all over my work surface. Okay, starting with Y21. And I'm going to color. Basically everything except for those openings in the bread. And actually this gets tucked into the basket, so you don't even really have to color the whole thing. Now we're onto our darker shade, YR23. And I'm using that feathered stroke where you start dark and lift up, start heavy and lift up to get that kind of gradation. This YR23 is a color I use a ton. It's such a great warm yellow. Perfect for this French loaf, I think. But it's like my go-to for golds when I'm trying to color golds with Copics. I'm going to color this whole loaf, and I'm going to be a little lazy today and just color this one loaf of bread and then cut it in half. The original, I did 2 loaves. We're just going to cut this in half. That's what we're going to do to save time. If you can tell, I'm worried about time a little bit today, because I know Copic coloring can be kind of a bit boring to watch. So I'm trying to keep it fast and light and easy. But look at how good that looks already. this would be great. A wine party. Oh my gosh. I love that idea. I want to go to a wine party. That sounds great. My sister this weekend went up to, I'm from Arizona, and she went up to Sedona, and there's some wineries near it over there, and I was very jealous. Rainy North Dakota. Thank you, Patty. I'm going to start for the, now we're at the bread top. We're going to use E50 as our light and just kind of color the whole opening. Make sure to kind of color where the darker part of the bread meets that lighter area. That just kind of helps that transition along a little bit, especially if you were a little sloppy like me when you were coloring and got some of those warm yellows in there. And then we're going to move on to E50 or E30. Gosh, can't even read. And we're just going to add little gradation here and here, kind of at those corners of each one of these splits in the bread to just kind of make it look more rounded. Real simple, very easy, very quick. Since all these colors are fairly light, this whole coloring of the bread goes really fast. Oops, and I didn't realize I'm using a scrap. That's why it's colorful rainbow on the back side of that bread. I'm just now going to color the edges. This is just the finishing touch. And honestly, I don't even think we need to go back and blend anything out. I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to leave it. Look at that French loaf. It looks so good, right? We have wineries up here in the mountains. Ooh, in Oregon. Oh, gosh, what would I do to be somewhere where it's not 102? That sounds amazing. Even where they went in Sedona, it's not 102, which that's the nice thing about Arizona. You don't have to drive very far to kind of get away. But this was not the weekend for me to be able to leave. All right, I'm going to grab my Hero Arts tweezers and pop out all the negatives on our little pie. Again, this pie was cut out of antique ivory, which again is a very light cream. It's almost white. It's very light. Hello. Hello from Southern California. You guys hot? You guys had a real rough summer. We did too, but Arizona's always bad, so it feels kind of, at one point it's just hot, you know. It's 100, there's like no difference between 102 and 115, it feels like. I missed a die. All right, so for the pie, very good, Sherry. I always color those edges. 65, wow. 65%, we're having extremely hot weather this week. Oh, geez. I'm sorry, Sherry. Everybody's got more heat than they want this summer, I think. All right, the pie is just two colors. We're back to our E30 and E31. Again, I'll use those colors a lot. They're nice light tans, and I have refills. But any of the colors I use, please feel free to substitute with whatever you like better. I feel like a lot of Copic markers are pretty similar in color. Okay, starting with E30, 110. Oh my gosh, okay, geez. We're hotter, we're cooler here. Okay, so I'm gonna start with my light and kind of go around. Now the pie's a little tricky because it's got that lattice work top. And so some parts are under and some parts are over. And I kind of just pick an area to start with. I'm going to start with this area right here. And that is like an over. So I'm going to color it like that. And this one would be an over here. Now we've got that. I'm just going to quickly go around the edges. we go. Now we're going to go to our next one here. So this one, this is the over here. And that's it. Now, gosh, I think that probably doesn't really make sense, but maybe once we get going. I'm kind of paying attention to, well, I'm using the cut lines in the pie top to help me figure it out. All right, we're going to be done with that part. Now we have the vertical ones to kind of figure out. So this one's here in the center is over. So go either side of that. And this one will be over here. Oops. I think I did that one a little wrong. I already did one wrong. It's all right, though. I'm not worried about it. Okay. That's the part I'll tuck into there a little bit more. You can see where I kind of messed up over here. Everything else kind of looks right. All right, now we're going to our darker shade, E31. And I go right along the edges. Right where that lattice kind of tucks back in and under. The other lattice piece. Getting it there, getting it. All right, and now I'm gonna blend it out. I still have the, like, I'm just doing the very center. Now I'm gonna blend this out a little bit. And that will help me figure out these edges. But it's starting to look like a pie. All right, I'm ready to do the last bit of blending. And even though I messed up on that part, I think you can really see the lattice. You see the shading. Pretty convincing. Now all I'm going to do is the sides a little bit. Color them. The very sides now. See how that little cup of coloring really, I wish I had a before and after. I really think that brings this pie to life. Otherwise it looked kind of flat. That really brought that And then I'll even do my darker, my E31, just go on the edges a little bit more. Make it look like it was browned. All right, and there is our pie top. So now I'm gonna grab and make a backer for it because obviously it's just clear, or not clear, you can see through those openings. So we want to see some pie goodness inside. I'm gonna grab cherry cardstock, just a nice red, place it down, grab a pencil to kind of trace. Just do a quick trace. Something like that. This doesn't have to be a perfect circle. You can kind of see that. Grab my scissors. And I'm going to quickly cut this out. I'm going to cut inside that pencil line because I want this circle to definitely be smaller than my pie top. Okay, that should work. I'm losing all my hair. Okay. I think I might need to trim it down just a bit more. Yeah, the red is delicious. I could go for a cherry pie. Blue would be good too. Blue would be like a blueberry pie. It would look nice underneath there. A lot of contrast. But the design of this card needed some more red up at the top, so that's why I went with cherry. Okay, that's it. We're just gonna glue it. I have Here Art precision glue. Oh, I see we were frozen for a second. Hopefully that fixes itself. There we go. And I'm just gonna add a little bit of glue to the back side. This is the big boy. I like how we have bigger glues now, so I don't have to have those little ones so much. Have so many of those, I should say. A little less plastic. All right. Stick that down. Ooh, purple. I like that idea. Purple would be cute. All right, and there's our little pie. It looks so good to eat. It looks good enough to eat, right? We got our pie, our bread. We're a little food factory over here. Hey, we're gonna grab my die cutting machine. Now we're gonna move on. Let's move in order that we have it here. Let's work on that champagne bottle. So I'm gonna grab the bottle here. This time we're gonna do a lot more like paper piecing, where I mean, technically it's all been kind of paper piecing, but feels less so because we haven't really been cutting and gluing things onto each other. So maybe it's not really paper piecing. I kind of think of it when I use colored cardstock, I kind of think of it as paper piecing. I've got Shamrock cardstock. Oh, I see that we're frozen. Okay, please stop being frozen. Fix yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and die cut it out, even though I know we're frozen. It'll fix itself. And you've seen me die cut before, so not missing much. I hope it fixes itself. Come on, come on. Okay, we got our wine bottle cut out of the green. Fix, fix, fix. Don't be stuck. You were doing so good. How's my other camera? My other camera's fine. Oh, okay. I'm just going to give it another second before I switch over if I have to. I'm trying to avoid it. It's much better if we use this camera. Now I'm going to die cut. I've got some mustard cardstock. It's a really deep yellow. And I'm going to die cut pretty much the whole bottle. I really only want the top and the label. That's what I'm mainly focused on, the foil top. Oh good, we fixed it. Fixed itself a little bit. So we have the green bottle. Now we have the mustard bottle. Oh, but we are not done. Now we're going to grab the antique linen. No, Ivory. And I'm going to die cut the label. That's what I'm focused on. I know, Sherry, I'm sorry. It's fixed it now. It's fixed itself now. I don't know why it does that. All right, we got our label. Now the last thing I'm going to cut is that little like wax seal almost. I'm not sure if it's a wax seal or not, but that's what it looks like to me. I think it's called a neck label. I had to look up the anatomy of a champagne bottle when I wrote my instructions, so I knew what to call these parts. Okay, and there it is. It's hard to see, but this is, I forgot this cardstock. This is Cranberry, really dark Merlot kind of color. All right, there's all of our pieces for our champagne bottle. Let's start by coloring the bottle. Grab my greens. So we're going to start with E43 or G43. Put all my pieces there. We're doing okay. We're doing okay on time. It's a time-consuming one, but we're doing all right, I think. We've colored the biggest stuff so far. That's good. We're going to color the sides. Now, really, the only part that's going to be seen is this little 2 sections here, and actually that won't be seen down here because that's tucked into the bottle. So if you wanted to cut down your coloring, just color that little middle area there of the bottle. Then G28, this is my dark. Just going to darken the edges up a little bit more. Really create that gradation so that bottle really looks rounded. And that's it. Oh, it's your first time, Kelly. Hello, Kelly. Thanks for joining. All right. So that guy's done. Now we're going to move on to this, the mustard one. So the mustard, 2 colors, YR23 and Y21. 21's my light. I'm going to start to color. I'm going to color this whole, we might even cut it just to make it simpler and easier for you to see. I'm going to cut this. There. That's the kind of wax, or not wax, that's the foil. And I'm going to color along the sides. And just kind of follow along those score lines, or those cut lines, I should say, in the foil itself. Actually color along those. We want this to look sort of shiny. That's the goal. This is my dark YR23. Just going basically right where I colored before. And then I'll blend it out. Let me show you what I got so far. Now I'm just going to blend it out with my Y21. Kind of soften it a little so it doesn't have such harsh lines. And then I'll take that YR23 and just go along the edges. Little detail, but really steps it up. Okay, that's the foil, so put that aside. Now, I actually used the label too. So we're going to cut out along that top line of the label. And the bottom, so we're left with a piece like this. I'm actually gonna do a tiny bit of Copic coloring to this too, even though it barely gets seen. But I want that illusion of roundness. So just color the edges. I'll hold up so you can see. YR23, just color the little edges there. Now I'm gonna grab Y21, just kind of blend it out a little bit. This tiny bit will be seen and that's about it. Okay, there we go. It's coming along. Let's move on to our antique ivory. Gonna cut out along that second line of the label. And admittedly, this is kind of overkill, but I really liked the double layered look. Do I color this at all? I do. I think I just took 40 and colored along the sides. Yep, that's all I did. Just a little on the sides to make it look a little rounded. That goes there. Oh my gosh, it's really coming together. And then this is the hardest part to cut. Now this is where I got a little crazy. I'm gonna cut out that circle and the two little like tabs that extend out from it. And because the die cuts out, makes actual cut lines, you're kind of just cutting a couple little places just to free it from the rest of the die cut. So it's not really a lot of fussy cutting, but it is so tiny that it's tricky. Again, this is something you could just skip if you don't want it. Like, it feels like too much trouble. I get it. You could probably just Copic color the foil, the mustard, if you wanted to. But I think this is actually cleaner, surprisingly. I do color this little guy a little bit, yep, because I am crazy. I grab R59. Just color, again, the edges a little bit, the sides, to make it look rounded. And I'll color around the circle a little. Just something like that. No, it won't really focus, but there you go. Okay, let's put it together. This is the most complex. This is the champagne bottle is the only one where I really paper piece. Everything else is just, except for maybe the pie, that was 2 layers, but everything else is just like 1 layer of colored cardstock. The champagne bottle, I went crazy. All right, let's grab our precision glue. We'll start by adhering our labels together. Cute. Now I'll color that look there. I didn't color the bottom of the bottle just because I knew it was going to be covered. So I didn't even bother to color it. I'll go ahead and glue this on before we lose it. Okay, I'm going to grab my tweezers. But I think this champagne bottle looks so cool when it's all done that it could almost be like, for a clean and simple card, like the main focus. Just put maybe 2 of them on a clean and simple card and then have something like, you know, congratulations underneath. Whoop, I can see it froze again. Please fix yourself. Okay, there is our champagne bottle. So great. Okay, we got that done. We are chugging along here. Let's do some grapes. So for the grapes, I have Amethyst cardstock, really pretty purple. We're gonna grab those grape dies. Thank you, Susie. I know I think when you have like a die cut that you spent that much time on, you could just make that the focal point of your card. Really, just have like 2 of those, just kind of fill the space a little bit more, and then a simple congratulations on some white cardstock. Top it off with some dimension. Done. A great thank you or a great congratulations card. All right, for our grapes. Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, you could put like initials on there. I didn't even think about that. Sherry bringing all the good ideas today. That's a great idea. Okay, so for the grapes, we are going to grab some purples. And we're going to start by actually kind of coloring the edges and creating a gradation on every one of these little grapes here. I'm going to start with, I think I'm going to actually start backwards, and I'm going to start with my dark because I think it'll save us a little time. Oh, Sean, you got to play with the kit. Yeah, it's a great one. And I'm thinking that the light source, I usually don't really care that much about the light source, but this time it's going to help us color less. I'm going to think that it's coming down from the left. So I'm going to color the lower right edge like a crescent moon on each one of these grapes. So I'm going to go around and do all the grapes, and then I'll talk about the kind of areas where you don't see a perfectly round grape. I guess I shouldn't say perfectly round, but where it gets kind of dark. That's not right either. I guess the way to say it is the grapes are in the background. So you see we got all the grapes kind of quickly colored. Now there's a couple places like here and here and here where that's probably a grape, but behind these front grapes. So I'm going to go color it completely dark. Just going to color it in. Just a few of those. So then we're left with something like this. Kind of saves you a little bit of time, Lee, a little bit of time of coloring. Okay, now I'm going to grab my medium shade and I'm going to blend out all those grapes that I created that little crescent on. Put a little bit of this medium shade. Start to make it look more rounded, more like a ball. All right, hold up so you can kind of see where we're at right now. It's getting there. And then the last thing I'll do is just grab my lightest shade. This is probably a little overkill. Just kind of blend it out a little bit more. All right, now we have the stems. And for the stems, I didn't even write it down. I don't have them. Just grab a brown. I didn't write that down. I left that color out. I'm going to just use a darker brown. This is E29. And just color those stems. So you have the top here. And then you have 2 little ones you can kind of see right there. We're going to color those 2. And I'll just go along the edge of the stem. And that's it. there are our grapes. All right, chugging along. Let's do the salami. Now for the salami, I actually used an orange cardstock. This is pumpkin, one of my favorites from Hero Arts. I love this rich kind of rusty orange. Yes, you do, Sean. You do need to retire so you can play. And we're gonna grab that like salami. And grab my plates here. Oops. That was the wrong plate. Here we go. I need the A plate. Grab my other B. Now we'll cut. Oh, look how good it looks already. I love that color. Gosh, that pumpkin is so pretty. Such a gorgeous, gorgeous orange. Love it. Okay, I'm gonna grab my scraps here. All right, for the salami, I use a ton of colors, unfortunately, because I have to kind of color the outside a little bit darker and then the inside a little bit lighter. And so whenever I'm kind of using two groups of colors, one group's gonna have like 3 to 2 shades, the other group also 3 to 2 shades. All right, so let's start with the outside. We're gonna start with R59. We're gonna have a lot of reds because we're making it really dark, like that, you know, that skin of the sausage. R46 and R37. So some reds. I'm gonna start with, let me see, I'm trying to remind myself what these colors look like. I'll quickly mark them down here. I have all right. We'll start with the 37 and basically color this whole thing. There we go. And the, you can see right here by the side by side, I'll hold it up so you can see a little bit too. The colored cardstock does affect the Copic color, so just keep that in mind. It's not going on to white cardstock. So it is going to pick up, and that they're transparent a bit. So they are going to pick up some of those tones from the colored cardstock. Here I think it's great because it'll just make a more cohesive look. Yeah, like summer sausage. Then we're going to grab the 46 and we're going to start to create that gradation. So just like we did with the wine bottle on the top and bottom sides here, we're going to kind of do that feathered stroke. Start to create that look of a gradation. Okay, now on to our dark, which is R59. Again, that feathered stroke, light, and then lift up. Just makes it easier to blend these out. And this is a dark color, so we will really have to kind of work on this one. Okay, hold it up to see what we have here so far. So I do want to blend this out a little bit. I'm going to go back to that 47 or 46 and go over that 59. Just kind of blend it out a bit, soften it up. And I'm going to stop right there. I think that looks good. Okay, so that's the outside. Can I pick it up? No, that's the outside of our sausage. Looks good so far. Okay, now for the inside, let's grab E8. I love this color. I use that a ton. We're going to grab that 36, 37 again, used before. And 22 and 17. Okay, so we're going to start with the 22 and just kind of create a little gradation. Where it's lighter at the top, darker at the bottom. Then I'll grab the 17, R17. Blended it out with a little bit more of R22. I'm getting hungry too, Sherry. And now I think I'll finish with these two shades, the E08 and the R37. And we're just going to kind of make spots on the sausage just to kind of make it look like, you know, like sausage. Like sausage looks, I guess. I had this E08. Whoops. So it looks something like that right now. And then we'll finish, our little final touch is to take a white gel pen and just add a couple little, like, kind of looks like fat is what I'm thinking. I'm actually going to go, they're a little liquid. I'm going to go with my finger while it was still wet and picked up some of that. You see the marks on my finger, some of that white gel pen, and that just softened it a little bit. And I think that has a little bit more of a realistic look. Just picked it up. It does make them a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Just picks up some of that white so it's not so bright and so intense, a little more realistic. Okay, I didn't do it on the original card, but I wish I had. All right, that's our little salami. We're moving along. We got cheese and crackers and champagne bottles to go, and then we are done. So we're doing okay. The rest of them are kind of easy. Let's do the cheese. Now, I didn't go for like a Swiss cheese, even though it is kind of like Swiss cheese, because I wanted more color. So I have like a Canary. This is Canary yellow cardstock. So I don't know. I feel like Swiss cheese is a little bit more white. So we went more yellow. Hello, Holly. Okay, we're going to just die cut this out of our Canary. We will be going over an hour, but we're not too bad. I knew this one was a more time-consuming live. Let's do it this way. Let's go on the other side. There you go. Perfect. There's our little cheese. Oh, now I am really getting hungry. Okay. Now for the cheese, I have 3 colors picked out. Y00, Y15, and my favorite again, that YR23. All right, so we're going to start with our light and just color the side here. We want that to be in shadow, that side of the cheese. So we're going to color that whole thing with that yellow. Hopefully to darken it up a little bit. And then along the top, we'll go in, color like that third of the top. Now we'll move on to Y15. Color along the edge of the cheese here. Oh my gosh, if we had a tiny mouse, wouldn't that be so cute? I'm gonna color along the edge here. I don't think I did this in the original, but I'm going rogue. I think it needs it. There we go. And now let's color all those holes. All those little holes in that cheese. I'm gonna grab my light shade again, Y00. Just blend that Y15 out along the edges a little bit. And then we'll finish up with YR23. And I'm going to do like a crescent, just a tiny little crescent at the bottom of bottom and to the right of all of these little holes in the cheese to kind of make them look more like they're holes. I don't want to color the whole hole. I just want to do a little crescent. This is dark. We're definitely going to have to blend that out. I'm going to hold it up. And then let's grab that 15 again and just blend it out. Blend out all those little holes in our cheese. Okay, there's our little Swiss cheese. Okay, moving on. Put some of these markers aside. Look at our pile of food we've got going on here. It looks so fun. It's like a dollhouse. All right, so our next one, we're gonna do crackers. I'm gonna die cut 2. I have a little bit left of this. I don't think I have enough. Let me grab another scrap. That's mustard. Also one of my favorite. Here we go, I got a bigger scrap. Favorite colored cardstocks from Hero Arts. I love mustard. Mustard, pumpkin, and I think pesto are my favorite colored cardstocks. I'm gonna grab the cracker die. And we gotta cut this twice. We need at least 2 crackers. We can get by with 1 bread, but we need 2 crackers. Ooh, I love the idea of a red plaid background. I do a little blue, not plaid, but linen for the napkin. I kind of wish I did red. I think red would be better. Yes, the pesto cardstock is gorgeous, isn't it? There we go. There's our little crackers, so cute. I'm gonna grab my my copy paper here, just kind of so I don't totally mess up my work surface. And what do we use for crackers? Just 2 colors. YR23 again. I laugh because that one I use a lot. And then Y21, which is one also I use a lot. Okay, we are going to color around the edges with that 21. I'm going to go along. These look like Ritz crackers, like for reals. I want to eat them so bad. Nice. I'll even color, there's these little like cut marks in the top. I'll kind of highlight those by coloring them a little bit with that Y21, just to kind of get them to have a little shadow. And then on to YR23. We're going to go along the edges again, not so far out as we did with that Y21, our light. And I'll add even a little bit to the top, the very top, those little marks in the very top. And then for the last thing I want to do is just take that 21 and go back along to blend it out. The fact that this colored cardstock, or our Copic markers, do take on the tone a little bit of the colored cardstock helps with our blending. We don't have to work so hard to create a gradation or to get our colors to perfectly match because they're kind of taking on some of the tones of that colored cardstock. I'm gonna go along the edges real quick with my YR23. And then we'll be done with these crackers. It's amazing how much this really steps it up. Oops. Let's see if I can hold them side by side. If you can tell. This one that's colored just looks a little bit darker, a little richer, just a little. All right, just about done here. All right, those crackers are done. All right, we have just the champagne cups or flutes. And then we are done. And they're actually surprisingly easier than they may look. Have a little bit of white cardstock. This is dove white. Grab my plates. Grab that flute die. I think we can get 2 out of this little scrap. One. Again, such a great use of your colored cardstock scraps. Even though we're using white cardstock now. Okay, let's grab my copy paper. Ooh, sparkling pens. That would be fun. I wish I had some. I don't think I have any sparkling pens anymore. Just got my white gel pen. We're going to start by coloring the actual champagne that's in the flutes. We're going to need Y11 as our light, and then Y21. So I'm going to fill these up. I don't want to go all the way to the edge of the cardstock. I want to keep that the white of the paper. That just is more realistic of what how glass would work. We'll fill it about there, like 2/3 full. And it's actually pretty easy to stop there because of the natural indentations that the die creates on your die cut. You just kind of follow along those. It's pretty easy to avoid coloring all the way to the edge. Now we'll fill up our second one. Let's make sure they're equal. And then we're going to take our 21, and this is definitely where we want to incorporate that feathered stroke, that light and then dark. Hard pressure, then you lift up, because this is going to really help us out to have that gradation to that champagne. Do the same thing here. And then you can, even though it looks really good right now, kind of hold one up so you can see. Looks pretty good. I'm just going to soften maybe this one a little bit with my Y11, my light. Okay, now we got to add some like bubbles. So to do that, I'm going to go back to that YR23. I'm just going to add some really fine little dots in that champagne, keeping it mostly at the bottom. Let me hold it up so you can see. Focus, focus. Just hard to see. Just at the bottom, mainly, of the champagne. And then you can even take some of 21 and add some too. You can go a little higher with the 21 because it's your medium. It's not so dark as that 23. All right. Champagne's done. Now let's add some glares. I have BG10. Just going to add a couple glares. Let's start at the base here and just add a little blue there. There's a little indentation. Let's see if you can see. Just added a little bit of this light blue to that. Then we're going to add some, starting at the rim, down a couple swipes. This one. And you can even go down into the champagne with it. There we go. And I'll hold it up so you can see. Then lastly, we're going to grab our white gel pen and actually add a highlight. And I'm just going to color in that where the champagne is. Just add a little highlight down there. Because if you add this white highlight anywhere else, you're not going to really see it because there's no color really anywhere except for where the champagne is. Just really makes it look more reflective, like it really is glass. Okay. And that is our champagne flutes. Okay, so that is it. We're all done with all our Copa coloring. Yay! We have a little bit of stamping to do. Let's start with our napkin. I'm gonna grab my scrap of Dove here. And I'm gonna grab my Misty. And you know what, we have to remove this because I'm going to use that linen cling stamp that was included in the kit, this guy here. Ooh, Sean, I love that idea of doing like lacquer. That's a great idea. Maybe I can do that at the very end. The only downside of lacquer is it kind of takes away the white highlight a little bit. You kind of lose it, but it would add a beautiful shine. I like to do that lacquer stuff very end after I've glued everything onto the card, and then I can do the lacquer and then put it up on my shelf so I don't accidentally mess it up somehow. Okay, so this is cornflower. We're stamping our little like napkin or tablecloth, however you want to think of it. You know what? I think that looks good. Don't those cling stamps stamp beautiful? One and done, baby. I don't think I have a sparkly glue pen. I don't think I have one of those. But that would be cool. All right, we're gonna grab the, put this over here, this die here, this triangle one. And cut our little napkin. Let's make sure we get it all cut there. Perfect. And so we have all our die cuts done. Now I'm going to go ahead and make my sentiment so I can arrange everything and then pick it up with a press and seal and then pop it onto my card. So I got to stamp that now. Where did my Misty go? Oh, here it is. Just looked different to me because it didn't have its foam. I think I have a little bit left of this. We'll try to squeeze it in here. This is a scrappy card. We're using every last little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna grab a sentiment. It's just a tiny sentiment from the set. Love the font of this clear set in the July kit. I'm gonna use the Hello. And I wanted this to kind of bring out the greens in the champagne bottle. So I'm using kind of like two colors to kind of get that deep green look and a little gradation. I'm going to start with Forever Green. This could just be black though, but for some reason I wanted it to match the, I thought it would be cool if it matched the wine bottle or the champagne bottle. Stamp it a couple times. Trying to see what I did. Okay, and then I'm going to grab the Deep Ocean. I'm going to give it a little quick wipe. And I'm just going to ink up the lower half. So partial ink here. Let's look at it a little. It's all very dark and it is kind of hard to see, but in person you'll see there's a little gradation on this sentiment. All right, I'll hold it to the camera. Maybe you can catch it. Just a little subtle gradation where it's a little lighter, even though it's a dark green, but a little lighter and a little darker at the bottom. Again, relying on that kind of apparent quality of the inks. So when you layer them on, even though that was a blue, that was Deep Ocean, because it's going on top of that Forever Green, it still reads, still looks green. Now for this, I'm going to fussy cut out. And I am going to follow along as best I can the curves of this. But this could definitely just be a strip. There's no reason why you have to fussy cut. If you don't like to fussy cut or it's difficult for you, this definitely could just be a strip. There's no reason. I just like the look of fussy cut a little bit better, especially on a sentiment with the font being so rounded, kind of. All right, we're almost done here. All right. I liked miniatures, Sherry. I actually, can you tell I made miniatures? Like just for me, just for funsies. I had a dollhouse. I do still have a dollhouse. And when I was little, I made miniature food out of salt salt dough. Oh, let's grab all of our pieces. We do have to cut that bread. I can't forget that. I shoved them over here to the side. Now I'm like, do I have them all still? There's salami. All right, let's cut our bread. I'm gonna cut one side a little bit shorter so we can have one that's a little bit longer. Like that. Perfect. And you know what? I'm gonna get my grid here. So I have like an A2 panel to work with for scale. We're gonna have our pie. Tuck that in. Our champagne bottle. Our basket. I love minis. I love them too. I feel like it translates to, I think a lot of card makers actually do like miniatures as well because it has a similar feel in some ways. They're the die cuts are so tiny and cute. Right there, that arrangement's pretty good. I'm worried about it moving on me. I'm actually gonna grab a piece of tape. Maybe. And put my tape out of reach. Okay, it's hard to reach. I'm gonna grab a piece of tape. I don't want these to move on me. I like how this is already looking. And I'm not ready for my press and seal. So I'm just gonna put it over these die cuts. That's gonna hold them in place for me. And then we'll grab our little napkin. Grapes. I'm looking at my original here to kind of figure out how I did everything. Salami. I'm gonna need, I might end up just using tape and not press and seal today. That's fine. Cut this. Hold those in place. Little crackers. I'm just gonna use tape because it's easy, more easily for me to grab right now than the press and seal. And let's finish with We Forest Folks. Ooh, I will, sure. I'll definitely look it up. I may know it already, but I'll look it up just to double check that that is what I think it is. Because my daughters like miniatures too. So we've watched some, we've seen some things. These champagne bottles kind of like, or glasses like that. Let's move this one down a little bit more. And last is our sentiment, but we'll add that later. Okay, everything is actually kind of stuck together. I can even flip it over, kind of peel the tape off. And now I'm going to go crazy with foam adhesive. I got it out, so let's grab that. The foam adhesive obviously is going to give it dimension, but it'll also hold those die cuts in place. Champagne cups are probably going to need tweaking, but we'll worry about that later. Because they're complete, they're not getting much. I'm not able to really put foam adhesive on them because they're kind of resting too much on top of everything else. And I just want to add a little bit more on our bread. Great. Grab our card base. And let's go ahead and remove the foam backing. Oh no. Oh good, I didn't lose you. I guess I forgot to put my phone on do not call, do not disturb. So we got a phone call. Oh, that was scary. All right, we're gonna stick that down. Now I'll remove the tape. Everything is gonna be stuck except for my champagne glasses, unfortunately. I'll have to glue those. But everything else I was able to get some foam adhesive on, so they're all stuck. Hi, Libby. Oh, thanks. This was a fun one. I really enjoyed this card. I enjoyed making it. We're gonna add a little bit of liquid glue here. Stick that one down. And then our sentiment. Cute. Oh gosh, it looks so good. Grab my foam. Let's see, where do I have to put it? You can basically put it anywhere. Are we on camera? No, let's put it, make sure we're on camera. Make this a little bit smaller. So a lot of little parts, but it was actually, the coloring's really easy. That's the best part about this, is the Copic coloring is really easy, and like we're left with these, end up with these really realistic looking die cuts that weren't really hard to do. There you go. There's our awesome spread. The coloring just steps it up, steps that realism up a bit. And like I said, super easy because we started with colored cardstock. We saved ourselves a lot of coloring. I mean, we barely colored the basket. So fun. It can always be, you know, you can always remove some of the images just to simplify it. Like the basket by itself with maybe those 2 champagne flutes would be beautiful too. But it's just fun. I enjoyed making this card. All right, guys, I'm gonna switch cameras. All right. Sounds like you guys can hear me. Great. All right, thank you so much for joining me for today's make along. This one was such a fun project. I love this card. Love the July kit. And I will see you guys in the next live. Thank you, everyone. Bye.